start using the same functionality of SQLDF to further query the data and do some basic averaging stuff, right? So you can also say SQLDF, right, and say with single quote select, right? You have to make sure that you have a single quote in the beginning. So SQLDF will have a function call in which you have to specify with a single quote the complete SQL statement, right? Say select, and you can specify which columns you want, species, right, comma, and you want an average, that is mean value. Now we are not using the functionality of mean over here, but we are using average because you are actually using SQL syntax, right? And when you're using SQL syntax, you cannot use mean, because in SQL, so you're basically using the SQLite version, right? So you have an average functionality over there and not the mean functionality. Average, and then in this case I'm going to just say with a double quote on which column I want to do that. So it is CP length, right? And I have to wrap this with a double quote, comma, from iris, okay, and I'm saying group by species, right? CP underscore length from iris group by species. I guess what we have, just check with the data first. Summary of iris, okay, it's simple dot length, and that's why the reference is not coming correct, I guess. Just have a look at head iris again. Okay, we are trying to access it using an underscore, but actually it's a dot over here, so I'll have to just rewrite the code over here. So an underscore won't work over here, and I have to say this is a dot over here. Okay, now this is working, right? So just have to make sure that it's correct, right? So the syntax over there would be CPL dot length and not a CPL underscore length, and that would work for you. Okay, let's go further and see what else we can do. So now we would be doing some other computations like counting, taking out the max value, min value of a certain column. Say for example, in this case, sepal length basis the group in which it is following, the species, whether it is setosa, versicolor or virginicolor. Now also one more important thing is that whenever you're doing anything like this, you need to understand the data very correctly, right? Obviously we are skipping that portion right now because we are more interested right now into understanding what exactly we're trying to find. So I'm saying SQLDF, okay, and in this functionality I'm saying the single quote select species, right, and then I'm saying get me the max value of sepal dot length, bracket, and you can say as high length, and then you can say the min value of sepal dot length, and this I'm saying render as low underscore length, and the count of cp dot length as cnt, right, from your object, right, that is iris, and you're saying group by species, right? Just make sure that yeah, seems okay. Okay, we missed one part. We have to specify over here with double quotes because these are names of the column. Okay, so yeah, so now you have grouped it. You have got the Setosa max length is 5.8, low length is 4.3, and the count is total 50. So you have 50 different uh, elements in each of the species, and that you can very well see from the data. Okay, so now we'll just look at some other aspects of doing the SQL statement. Very important amongst them would be using it for a joining, right? So what we did with merge and all those things, right? So let's create an object for this, and let's say aka is one such object, and when we are saying data dot frame, and in this we are saying species, right, is equal to level. So basically you're trying to extract the levels from the data, and you're saying levels iris dollar species, and you're saying aka, that's the c. And we are going to say eka is equal to c, and in double quotes we are specifying that s comma v, which are basically short forms which we are going to use for these species, and virginica is vi. So it's setosa, versicolor, and virginica. So we are basically using some short forms, and we're just hitting an enter. Right now you can have a look at eka. So this is what is, it's like a master data when you're giving the actual name of the species, and as against that you're specifying what would be the short form, right? And you intend to use this small table master data to basically replace this capital words as small words, or when you're extracting the data just visualize it with the acronym and not with the complete data, right? So you can say SQLDF, and you're going to use both these tables. One is the master data and one is the actual transaction data, say for instance, and you say select eka comma avg, right? That is average, right? So you're basically doing the computation on the actual iris data set, but when you're displaying the headers, right, you're not going to use the actual headers, you're going to use the headers from the small master data which has the short forms, right? And in this you're saying sepal dot length, right, that is 1 from iris, and you're saying do a join on eka using species, and you're saying group by species. Okay, this one thing is pending. Okay, so now the same thing which you wanted initially is coming, but instead of actually saying the complete name as Setosa, versicolor, and virginica, you are seeing the short form because that has been extracted from a master data which just has the short forms mentioned, right? Okay, so now we'll go ahead and start using something else also, like where clause, right? So we have already started exploring the joins and all those things, but let's start using the where clause also. So on similar lines, we already have the master data, so SQLDF, and we're saying select aka, that's the master data, average, right? And I'm doing the average of sepal dot length okay, from iris, and aka is your master data, where iris dot species is equal to aka dot, so you're basically doing a join over here, and you're saying group by iris dot species. Obviously again an error because you haven't specified this double quote over here, right? Now we'll use the SQL df functionality again, and we'll say select star from iris, and you're giving I as a notion of a proxy, where row id in, and then you're giving a nested statement of select row id from iris, where species is equal to I species order. So it's basically an alias by sepal dot length, and you're sorting it in a descending order, limiting it to two only, order by the alias I species comma I dot sepal dot length, and that's in the descending order, right? And that is one form in which you will further query the data, right? So this is all about SQL form of accessing the data, and